Welcome to the Chrysalis Temple, a sacred portal where the quantum meets the mystical. We awaken timelines, dissolve limits, and embody the frequency of your highest self. Chrysalis Temple Podcast. This is your sacred space for deep cellular remembrance, alchemical transformation, and a coming back to your divine feminine power. In today's episode, we're going to be getting into healing the nervous system. Really healing the nervous system from the inside out. Not just healing as a way to regulate, but as a way to rewire yourself completely and really almost build a new way of being and moving about in the world. So today we're going to be getting, once again, a bit scientific, spiritual, personal, and of course I will be sharing some tips on what you can do now, today, right now, in order to begin to transform yourself from inside out. And so before we begin, let's just settle into ourselves and attune ourselves to our own inner temple, connect with your own wisdom, connect with your breath really, and just ground and anchor yourself into the present moment. To be here to receive this transmission, to receive the gnosis that you are meant to receive. So take a deep breath in. You can always bring your hand to your heart if it feels good. And I also suggest bringing your hand to your belly, where you can really feel your breath and the movement of the breath. So inhaling in, feeling that belly rise, and exhaling, and you can bring in a sigh and let yourself ground. Let's repeat that 2 more times. Inhaling in and exhaling. Let yourself sink deeper into your own awareness. And another breath in and let it go. Centering yourself, grounding deeper and deeper and deeper. And just here you can surround yourself with a ball of golden white light, just to truly protect yourself, your own energy. Visualize it, feel it, or know that there is a golden bubble of light surrounding you. Beautiful. And from this place, let us really get into this transmission, into this episode. So, nervous system healing, nervous system regulation, rewiring the nervous system, right? Vagus nerve, those are all very popular topics right now, because there is so much science, so much research behind how our nervous system really affects our lives on many different layers of our being, right? It's become so apparent, I think, in the world right now, that so many of us are just living in this hamster wheel of survival, and pretty much just in this constant state of survival, instead of living through safety, through thrival, through a regulated nervous system. And it's become very popular because so many are seeking this knowledge right now. And today I want to bring that about on what you can do, also how the nervous system might be affecting your life, your physiology, your physical body, your mental state, your emotional state, your energetic state, and how it can affect your spiritual path as well if you don't really rewire your nervous system, right? So first and foremost, the nervous system, in my own belief, I mean, there's research to back this up too. I don't have the research to the scientific way to tell you, but from what I've seen within myself, within my client, what I've noticed that the nervous system is really truly the like the root of it all, right? So if you are living in survival, that affects all the layers of your being. That affects your physical body, because your physiology changes if you're constantly in survival, if you are operating from your fight, freeze or fawn responses. There is hormones being produced, the sending signals to your brain, activating all of this, right? Like the nervous system sends the signal to your brain, then these hormones are being produced, and that affects your physiology. That affects your organs, that affects the way you breathe, that affects the way you think. In so many different ways it affects it, right? So much cortisol being produced, you're not able to lose weight the way you should be, even though you are eating all the right things, even though you are, living an active lifestyle, working out, putting your physical health first, all of these things, but you're unable to lose the weight because there's so much of cortisol that is keeping you in this, in the state of not being able to. Then that cortisol also affects so many other processes within the body. You can hormonally, for men and women both, you can, begin to lose hair, your organs are suffering, your metabolism is slowing down, your sleep is disturbed in so many different ways physiologically. If you're constantly in this survival, you are living in fear of the next thing that's gonna happen, and you have to keep going, and there's no rest, there is no slowing down, you're just going, pushing, right? Then it affects your mental health as well. Mentally, that connects to these unconscious programs that are showing up, right? You are repeating the same patterns, the same behaviors, creating limiting beliefs in your life, in your reality, and feeling stuck as if you can't get out of these loops, these patterns, these limitations, because they just keep repeating and going because of the signals again being sent. Then emotionally, you're feeling on edge, you're constantly triggered, you are not able to regulate, express, and move through these emotions in a way that brings you back into safety. These emotions are constantly triggering these parts of you and making you relive the trauma. And once again, it's a vicious cycle that keeps you into coming back to the same story, to the same wounds, reliving it, recreating the pattern. And now, if you're constantly living in this survival, with a dysregulated nervous system, that is also reflected in the energetic. Although I think it starts off energetically, because energetic is there first, and then if there's that distortion going on long enough, it materializes physically. So all of these things are connected to each other, right? So if you're constantly living in any of these states, it's going to show up as this dysregulation, right? You're if you're falling into these mental loops, into these old stories, if the same traumas have not been released out of the physical body, they will keep triggering and showing up through the nervous system, right? If you're constantly overworking yourself, you're not letting yourself stop, breathe, become aware. If you're like in this autopilot, going, you don't that shows up as being constantly stressed, creating chronic stress, again keeping you in this loop. So it's a very hard cycle sometimes to break out of, because it just keeps going from all of these angles, right? And so it shows up in, like I explained, many different ways. Like you're having your chronic stress, you're constantly going without stopping, you're repeating these loops behaviors, and what happens is that you are not aware, you're not operating from the present moment. You're constantly either stuck in the past of reliving the traumas, or you're constantly jumping into the future where you're like, what's the next thing that's gonna happen? When's the next shoe gonna drop? I need to be prepared. So you're constantly anxious. So neither scenario is good. So first and foremost thing is coming back to the body, creating the connection with the body, and becoming present and aware. So you're bringing so much presence, so much slowness, so much awareness into everyday life. It's like rewiring through daily habits, just like that, right? Where you're no longer just rushing on autopilot. No, you're actually slowing down and becoming aware of what you are doing, how you are moving about everyday life, your daily tasks, your work, your relationships, every aspect of your life. How are you moving about? You're looking at that. You are taking the time to respond instead of react to everything. That's like a small little step you can begin to do in your life in order to begin that rewiring process, right? And so yeah, this is pretty much the root of it all. It is tied to everything that you do in life, everything that comes through your emotions, your thoughts. Your physical body is affected by this, your energetic body is affected by this. And this is especially I see this pretty much everywhere, right? Whether we're talking about everyday people that are just going to work and going about their life, they're constantly stuck in this survival mode of just operating in autopilot. And then on the other flip side, we have very deeply spiritual people who are connected to the cosmos, who are constantly channeling information, right? And then what happens with them? They're not grounded and rooted in reality. They're receiving this cosmic wisdom, but there's still distortions within the nervous system. There's still programs, there's still these mechanisms in place that they have not dealt with, and therefore the physical body and the nervous system cannot handle these transmissions. And it just makes people, like especially spiritual people, go into deep psychosis because the nervous system cannot handle that type of frequency and energy. And so it's a very broad thing of the nervous system, where it's so many people being affected by it, right? And so therefore this is the way to begin this transformation, right? The first step is becoming aware, because once you're aware, you can identify where you begin to get triggered, where you're trying to escape, where you're not in your body, where you're falling into these programs of the past or the future or whatever it is, where you're how it is pretty much manifested, right? And then the next thing, from just becoming aware, you have to go in deeper and begin the rewiring process. So the rewiring process, this is what I do through my practices of quantum flow and quantum breath. They are very they're very much, you're in the process, you're doing the work, and you're rewiring yourself, right? Through physical engagement in these things. And so what happens is, in these practices, what happens is we go into the survival part of the nervous system, right? We shake it up, we get there, we get into these wounds, into these patterns, into these beliefs. We bring it to the surface. We bring it, we wake it up. And then in that moment of those triggers, we rewire it. We create new neurological pathways through breath, through movement, through sound, through certain phrases, right? Using hypnosis, NLP, and things like that. You go in and you recreate. That's the rewiring process. You get to recreate, rewrite it. You go in, you take all of the synapses that have been formed already within that's creating the beliefs, the triggers and whatnot, and you break it apart through this process of movement, of breath, right? When you're going into deep breath work that's really hard, like the alchemy process. And then you consciously rewire, you bring in new intentions, you bring in new frequency through that intention, you breathe in all of this love, right? This new energy, and you rewire it, you rewrite it, you create new programs. And another way another thing I would suggest, of course, if you're very deep into survival and you've dealt with really deep trauma that keeps you, like where you have, complex PTSD or PTSD, like this is, I don't deal with things like that. But my suggestion, if you do have complex PTSD or PTSD in general, and you have deep traumas, for that, really find good practitioners who are doing somatic work to help you physically release all of this out of the body. Because sometimes in situations like that, if you have something so complex, you cannot bring to the surface these wounds, because you then fall into like dissociation and whatnot. And yeah, so the doing deep somatic work, really great for that as well. Movement, right? Shaking things out, releasing it physically. This is what we're doing in that moment. So you're not only bringing safety to yourself in the moment, you are recreating yourself from the inside out in order to feel safe in situations that previously made you feel unsafe. That's how that works through breath work, through quantum flow, even quantum healing. When you go in, you like what I do with clients is, again, bring them into through the work of the field, through, once again, NLP, hypnosis, things like that. Bring them into completely rewrite the programs. And these programs is what shows up, right, in daily life, that is preventing you from going to the next step, from getting deeper into relationships, from actualizing yourself in society, right, from getting deeper spiritual knowledge as well, or even keeping spiritual knowledge of transmitting spiritual knowledge and materializing that spiritual knowledge. Like I said, once again, so many spiritual people tend to fall into this, especially when they first wake up to this cosmic knowledge, and you begin to channel. And when you begin to channel so much of pure consciousness, your nervous system cannot handle it, because there's so much distortion. And therefore, when that energy comes through, when that consciousness comes through into your being, it like almost fries the nervous system. So if you are a spiritual person, if you are doing spiritual work, if you are on the path of spirituality, if you are a channel of sorts, and you're not doing work to rewire your nervous system, to let go of these unconscious programs, to let go of these things that are stuck within the nervous system, it can be a big blockage and distortion within the channel, right? Having a clear channel is very, very important, and you cannot have a clear channel if your nervous system is out of whack. So important. This goes out to all of the priestesses. That's why so much of the spiritual work of a priestess is to really bridge the two, right? That spiritual cosmic knowledge, consciousness that comes through, and then you materialize it into the physical. But you materialize it into the physical by really rewiring and bringing yourself into safety, and alchemizing all of the programs, right? All of the emotions, things like that, the patterns, all of these things, you're alchemizing them through the body. And so yeah. So, getting deeper into that. So, quantum healing with all of the things, breath, movement, somatic exercises. And another thing I also talk about quite frequently is sound and frequency. So, sound is a master healer. It has the potential to really, because sound is, harmonics of the universe. So, sound can penetrate deep down into the bones, into the bone marrow, into your cells, and has the potential to really transform deeply. So, listening to frequencies during meditations, during sleep, to rewire yourself is also really helpful. Doing like sleep meditations will help to rewire the nervous system at a very deep cellular level, right? And yeah, and doing just really looking at your daily life, right? Looking at how you move about. That's what I said before, bringing that awareness. And once you have that awareness, once you are consciously looking at your life, at what you are doing, how you are moving about, stopping, recognizing the patterns, right? Rewriting them, then also taking a look at what patterns show up, beliefs show up, and how you can recreate them. If you're constantly, I don't know, rushing through eating meals, that was a not that I was rushing, that's something that I dealt with, not that I was rushing through my meals, but I used to sit down and eat meals. I mean, being, a mom, and I have two boys, so they're always boys, I used to sit in this almost like shaky way by the time I sat down to eat my meals. And that was one of the things that actually brought me out of like that dysregulated me a lot. And so, yeah, like even little things like that, just eating your meals without having to look at a screen, right? Without constantly having to watch something, looking at your sleep patterns. Are you scrolling on your phone before you're going to sleep? Are you picking up your phone first thing in the morning and scrolling through all the things, right? Those, looking at your everyday and taking the time, then even if it's 5 minutes, ground yourself. Even if you don't have, so much ground, you can get like a grounding mat to really bring you in, but to the best of your ability, right? Put your feet on the ground, get near some water, a stream, a waterfall, ocean, whatever you have near you, however you can do it, right? It doesn't have to be fancy, it doesn't have to be, expensive, it doesn't have to be long, but just bringing that awareness and consciousness to every day will help you bring back that balance and that harmony. And yeah, like, because we're surrounded by so much right now technology everywhere you look, we're constantly on our phones, we have so much of that frequency from 5G, from the Wi-Fi's, from this, from just the technology itself, the frequency that it emits. There's so much like being bombarded at us, right? Through pretty much everywhere that you look. And so being aware of those things, limiting your time that you're on the electronic devices, limiting the time that you're at a screen, right? And have that blue light emitting, becoming aware of that, right? And then taking the time to bring that grounded energy again through presence, through awareness, through being conscious, and putting your feet on the earth, getting those negative ions moving through the body at a cellular level, right? And bringing that harmony and balance and recalibration into the physical body. Being near water, take some time and sit in that silence, and start off. Don't One of the biggest things, and again, I'm guilty of this as well, sometimes going in and changing everything rapidly. Do not change things rapidly, because there's a very high chance to just then fall off and like, oh, I can't do it, it's too much. Do a little bit each day. Every single day, do a little bit more than the previous, or as much as you can, right? Give it 100% every day, but that 100% every day can look very differently. So being kind to yourself and doing it little bit by little. Don't change everything at once. Do one thing, and then in a week add in another, and then another, and see how those habits will continue to build, to create these habits that then also once again rewire you from the inside out. You rewire yourself through the breath, through the movement, through somatic release, but then through these daily habits that you're changing, that you are choosing to bring into your daily life. And then seeing, right, before you know it, you're doing this focusing, before you know it, you look back and you're like, wow, I feel so blissful, so focused. I feel safe within my body. There's no more need to dissociate, right? There's no need to jump out of the body and not be present here. Yeah. And so these are some of the things that you can do starting now to really begin to rewire your nervous system, to release and transform these programs that are not serving you any longer, to transform limiting beliefs, to bring yourself back into the body, into the safety, into your own presence, where you can then from this safety within the body, from being connected to yourself, you can then stream higher consciousness with ease, right? It's no longer going to bring you distortion. It's not going to take you out. It's just going to flow in naturally, and you can then materialize the information too, not just live in the woo-woo of receiving the information and feeling on edge, not knowing what to do with it. Yeah, and if you want to really go deeper on this, to rewire your nervous system, you want to experience what it's like to really transform yourself from the inside out, you can always book a free clarity call with me to see if we're fit to work together. And if we are, schedule a quantum breath or a quantum flow or a quantum healing session, and find out other ways that if it's, whatever suits you, fits you, find ways that we can work together in whatever way that looks like for you. Yeah, schedule a free clarity call, see if we're a fit, and see how we can go in deeper into your transformation, how you can really recreate, transform yourself from the inside out in order to step into a better version of yourself, into a more aligned, into a more soulful version of yourself, into a more conscious and aware version of yourself. And so, yeah, this is well, not so short, but not so long either. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you liked it, please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you liked it. Let me know if you didn't like it. Let me know if you have any questions. I am always happy to hear from you. And until next time, beautiful souls.